What's up, everybody? This is Beast for Build. I'm Chris. We're here today working on the Lotus Evora. We're going to be working on a couple things in this episode. We got all of the supplies that we need to build our own custom air intake. Air intake on this car costs about $500 or more, so we're going to build our own. We have all the materials. I have Eric right over here, pro welder. He's going to help me out. And then we have the newly fixed radiator that we're going to test out and do some other stuff and continue work on the bodywork. So it's going to be a mixture of different things in this episode, but it's going to be fun. Stay tuned. All right, so here we have the OEM air intake, and it basically this part goes onto the throttle body. This is the little hose that leads to the valve cover right here, so that's an important part that we have to build, and then that runs to the air box. So here's what we have. We have pipe that's the same diameter. We're going to need to buy a bent flexible hose piece to do this bend right here that'll connect our pipe to the throttle body. We're going to use our flange off of this piece. I'm going to cut it off of here and clean it up. We're going to be welding that onto our pipe. And then we have some small pipe right down here that we're going to use to recreate this piece right here. Now, we can't run a paper filter like this in the long term. We need to run foam, but I have one of the foam ones on order. But just to get us through the days and to try it out, we'll run paper. So it's going to be paper filter onto our straight tube, and it needs to run straight for a couple inches before our airflow sensor, and then we'll throw our airflow sensor in there, and then after that we just need a bung. We need this to go into the valve cover hose, and then it goes straight into the throttle body, and we're good to go. So this was about a $20 piece of pipe. That was about a $5 piece of pipe. We're trying to make $25 do what a $500 aftermarket part did, and I don't think it's going to be very hard. So here we go. So we're taking a break from air intake stuff to take a look at the radiator. So Eric welded up the bottom there, and you can see we got a box surrounding that bottom to replace the plastic. So there's that side and there's the bottom side, and we've just placed it lightly in the car here, and we are going to go around to the back and fill up our coolant system once again and run a pressure test on it just to make sure that we can hold pressure as expected. All right, guys, we're going to try and pull some vacuum on this. We actually tested it a second ago, and it's doing much better at holding air pressure, holding vacuum than before when we actually had our plastic weld on there and it was leaking. So crank this thing to open, and we're going to put this on here. And there's a little bit of water in the system, so we're going to stop as soon as we get the water up to the level. Okay. So that's about as far as we can go, and now we're just going to sit here and watch this thing for a little bit and make sure it stays where it is. All right, it's been like 5 minutes, and our pressure level stayed exactly the same, so that is good. We got no leaks in the radiator system. Eric's job was mint, and it's all good, all 100% sealed up, and we are ready to move forward. No more worries with the coolant system. All right, next thing we're gonna do is remove this flange off the old thing. We JB welded this on, so we're gonna pull our sensor off, and then we're gonna grind away on this with the cutting tool. Grind all this JB weld off so we have our flange left alone, and then we can get ready to weld that onto our pipe. Alright, we got this thing off of here, and we managed to get it off without damaging it really at all, and we cleaned up the edges nicely. So we're ready to look at our pipe and our fitment to our pipe, and it's actually all good. So now it's just ready to be, we got to cut a hole in our pipe and we can weld it on there. Alright, Eric's getting this thing set up, and then we are going to weld it on there before we call it a night. And I guess we want to weld first and then we drill the hole. Tip from Eric, pro tip. And yeah, let's get this thing going. All right, here's our welded on flange. Eric welded this thing, it is airtight. Very slick for the first time ever using my it's a budget welder. That's awesome. So then tomorrow I gotta step drill this out. We're gonna drill it out, dremel it out so we have a perfect hole in there, and then we can start looking at bolting this thing on. Sweet. All right guys, we are back in the shop. I think what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna use the drill press to drill a starter hole, and then I went and got a die grinder, and I'm gonna use the die grinder to widen it out and get it to match the width of our flange. All right, we got a hole in here. It took quite a while because I tried to use a die grinder at first, which didn't work, and then I had to run down to Harbor Freight and buy some more things for my Dremel tool, and then the Dremel tool broke. But after a while, I got a sanding disc on the Dremel tool that actually worked for a while, and I was able to grind a nice hole in there. So we drilled it out, and then I just sanded it the rest of the way down to get a nice hole in there. So next thing we got to do is bevel this edge around here because there's an O-ring on the mass airflow sensor, and we want it to set in there nice and flush. So we'll bevel this edge out, and then we'll tap these for better threads, and we'll be ready to roll. Well, things were cooking right along until the bolt snapped off inside here, so now I gotta figure out a way to get that bolt out. Fun stuff. Man, this has been a lot harder than it should have been, but oh well. I guess I'm gonna try and drill that out. Not really sure. All right, I drilled out that other screw and then got new ones and went ahead and attached the sensor, and it's pretty smack dab in the middle there, so that looks good. That's good placement. So I'm feeling really good about this part. The next thing we need to do is match it up with the elbow joint that has the bung for the valve cover hose, and then I think we can just go ahead and start throwing it on the car. So let's do that. Let's move over to the car and I'll throw it on there. Okay, so you can start to see things coming together here, but we don't want to throw this on quite yet, so I'm going to pull it back off and place it to the side. So this whole air box that's right here can go now. So what you want to do is we're going to take this valve right over here, we're going to take these hoses off, and we're going to zip tie this adjustment valve back here, and the manual that I'm following says to just zip tie it back here to this bracket right here. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to zip tie that to this bracket. This needs to stay blocked off permanently. So sometime we'll come up with a more permanent solution, but for now that looks good. And then this red one will be blocked off as well, and this gray one does nothing. So the gray one will go to blank, and then this red hose will be blocked out as well. And that is it. And then we can throw our air intake in here. Wow, that's really on there. Alright, so the air intake is all hooked up. Let me show you what we did. So starting back here, we reused this elbow joint, this flexible elbow joint. This used to run from here to the plenum, which was right here. And what we did is we disconnected it from where it connected to the plenum. We cut it off, made it smooth, and then I took a hose clamp and notched it right here so it fit around here, and we got a nice solid clamping onto our pipe. And then that gives us our nice bung to go into our valve cover hose. So that's all good. Then that runs into our pipe here with our flange that we reused from the BRZ parts and our mass airflow sensor, and that's all gravy. So then we have this is a paper air filter that we can't run permanently, so this is just a temporary thing. I have a foam one already ordered, coming in the mail. So step one is basically this. This is like phase one of the air intake. Phase two is gonna be when we upgrade it a little bit more. So what we'll do is we will, excuse me, I'm gonna grab this. Well, what we'll do is we'll put our foam air intake here, we'll build an enclosure around it so air can only come in from the front, and then we'll vent that air using the OEM air vent. So if you guys remember the rear clamshell, there's an air vent like right about here. That'll shovel air right into this, and then it'll go straight into our foam air intake, and then we'll build a bracket here to mount to the mounting points down here on the car where it normally mounts. So we'll put a little bracket here so it's not, you know, kind of waving about. And then that'll go into our enclosure, which will go into our air vent. So stage one, we could run like this, but it's not gonna last for too long until we upgrade it a little bit more. Just the technical side, we put the valves back here. the little air valve, we zip tied it right back there. We terminated the red air plug right here, and the black one is right here. So that's all those taken care of. So this will definitely run and be fine for now, but once I get that green foam filter on, and then we get the clamshells kind of like mocked up and placed up, and we know where things are going to go, then we'll finish building onto this thing, which is going to be really fun. So I think that's it for that, and it's time to move back over to the bodywork side of the world and start peeling this roof off. Well, continue peeling this roof off. Well guys, this is a big bummer, but I think this roof is throwaway at this point. A couple reasons. One is I found out that online they are like 600, it's like 600 bucks for a new roof. So counting in the amount of materials that it would take and man hours, if you're just looking at fiberglass, resin, sandpaper, that type of stuff, I mean, it's going to be a good deal of money, and then you have man hours to go and rebuild one of these. So that might be a reason, like alone, just to buy a new one rather than try and rebuild it. But the other thing is, I don't think that this roof comes off without damaging it. I really think that you can't run the wire saw through here because there's all these overlapping and underlapping things that hook on each other. So for instance, it stops here and it won't go any further, but then it stops here and it won't go any further. And we have this big patch of resin right here that we can't cut, we can't do anything, and there's no way to access it. So I really just at this point don't think it's worth the time. So the only other thing I have to keep in mind though is sometimes with some of these parts for this car, even though it's still a new car, Lotus doesn't really make replacement parts for them anymore. I think because they're moving over to the 400, the Evora GT400 or whatever it's called, that some of these parts, you know, it's possible that I could call them and they'll just say like, you know, there's no restock date if they're sold out of them. So I have to be careful. So I'm going to carefully cut this thing into a couple different pieces so I can get the roof off of this car. Here goes nothing. A roofless Evora. Yeah, that was actually difficult even with the cutting tool, but we got the roof off, the main roof off, so I'm going to keep working on getting these patches off. There's one here, one there, and one there that I need to cut off, and I think I have to continue to use that wire tool, and I'll just use whatever else I can too, because I got to get these things off. It's so hot in here. It's like 102 degrees in the shop right now, and I'm covered in fiberglass. It's very uncomfortable. So I'm going to try and get this done as fast as possible. Alright guys, we're standing here inside the Evora, and I just wanted to go around where the roof was. So here's one of the corner pieces that was giving us a lot of trouble. Obviously that's where the windshield would go, and then you have this coming up here to this roof line. We come back here to where it's really busted up. So this is the side piece that is busted up right here. The side meets with the windshield piece right here, roughly. So side melds into the windshield piece and runs all the way down that line right there, and I'll show you guys that in a little bit. So that's all busted up from the wreck. That's when it flipped. You can see how they throw the polyurethane resin on here, just like that as well. So coming back here, that's all bad. Then we have our rear bulkhead, which is this piece right here that needs to be replaced or repaired. Coming back around here, you can kind of see how the polyurethane really comes together from the factory. It looks like it didn't get pressed down enough in there, so it's really interesting. And so in the back corner here, that piece and this piece did not want to come off. You can see how much time I spent kind of sawing through stuff. Didn't want to come off, so the roof died. There's some of the pieces of it. So I'll need to order a new roof from Lotus ASAP. Hopefully they have one. This is on the passenger side. We have a crack here right where the windshield meets up with the side piece. So that's okay. That's fortunate that it cracked right here. So the side piece we can fix repair, but the windshield is not damaged. So this windshield is really structural to keeping the car up in the event of a wreck. So you can see that corner there. So the one really sketchy thing for me is this is the side piece still, and it runs along this railing for the windshield, and it's sealed same way that the roof was with this stuff like that. But it wraps around and it has this whole like, so then it comes down and comes around, and under here you can see it seals back up with the windshield frame. Well, I don't think I'm going to be able to get wire in there, and I have no idea how Lotus ever thought that those things would be able to be separated. So that is something that's got me really sketched out. I don't know if I'm going to have to cut the side piece just into 1,000 pieces to remove it or what. And if that was the case, then I'd just be ordering new ones from Lotus because I don't have any other option. So that's something that's got me a little worried. I'm going to have to think on how to manage that. But the roof is off. And for you guys that were talking about doing a target top or a convertible, target top would be interesting, but these beams right here are kind of structural. They have this foam core stuff in them, and without those there, I don't really, well, the car wouldn't be structural. We'd have to run a bar from this roll cage bar to the front of the windshield or something. I don't know, it's something to think about, but I don't know. I don't know for this first pass of target top, something that we'll be looking at doing. So hot, so hot. I apologize for my face. It's on fire right now. It's full of fiberglass. It's uncomfortable in here, to say the least. That's it for this episode. Thank you guys very much for tuning in and watching. I hope you enjoyed it. We're seeing a lot of progress, and we have a little bit more to continue on this. If you want to help out the channel and help support the build and the channel, we have the Evora t-shirts available for pre-sale at bsforbuild.com, and all the pre-sale shirts come with a free lanyard and a free large decal and a free small decal. So that's a pretty awesome package that you can get there. Thank you guys so much that have already helped out and supporting. The support from the shirt sales has been really awesome, and man, I'm very excited to get this thing rolling. So thank you guys very much. You can find us at facebook.com/bsforbuild. We are bsforbuild on Instagram and bsforbuild.com. Please remember to like the video. I like it when you like it. We need more likes. And subscribing. And speaking of subscribing, we got one more episode where we're gonna get some more progress down on this, and then we got something special to celebrate. And I have one hell of an episode coming up for that. So I hope you guys are excited for that. Thank you all very much for watching. Peace.